Things are not as they seem, and this is where the nature of reality really kicks in. Here is a picture of an electron. There's a picture taken about a decade ago. They tell us that this is a light beam or electron riding a light beam. Can you see a particle anywhere in this picture? No, there's no particle. They're resonant waves, and yet they tell us it's an electron. Can you see how we get brainwashed? I believe that this is all part of the agenda to keep us dumbed down and manipulated. So this is what Nikola Tesla has to say about the electron from an interview in 1928. On the whole subject of matter, in fact, Dr. Tesla holds the view that he disagrees with the concept of atomic theory of matter and does not believe in the existence of an electron as pictured by science. This is a shock to the system. And you start seeing an agenda being developed here, an agenda being developed by mainstream universities, the mainstream scientific fraternity, under the guidance of those that are trying to lie to us and make us believe things that are not so. This is what Einstein has to say about electrons. In the theoretical treatment of these electrons, we are faced with the difficulty that electrodynamic theory itself is unable to give an account of their nature. For since electrical masses constituting the electron would necessarily be scattered under the influence of their mutual repulsion unless there are forces of another kind operating between them, the nature of which has hitherto remained obscure to us. He doesn't quite understand how electrons come into being. There's another guy that we should pay attention to. Ed Leeds-Conlon is the guy that built Coral Castle in southern Florida, and he built Coral Castle with cone-shaped tools, with no ropes and pulleys, big giant stones that weigh up to 30 tons on his own. And he tells us that millions of people all over the world are being fooled by the non-existing electron, and he has a lot more to say about this. And you start seeing that scientists and inventors and researchers over the last 200 years have been vehemently opposed to this whole concept of an electron and the atomic structure that has been forced down our throats and down through all our educational institutions, that we just take for granted and we accept because we believe the guys that teach us this to be smart and they're not lying to us. We just accept the stuff. Dr. Manjira Samantha Lawton, who lives in Manchester, wrote this phenomenal book, and I really suggest you get a copy of this if you can and read it. It reads like a novel. It's one of the best books you'll ever read, called Punk Science. And she shows us that everything manifests as a torus in a toroidal field, and including sound. And this is what sound looks like when it manifests as a toroidal field. Sound, just like everything else, manifests as a toroidal field, as a torus. And this is why when our hearts beat, we create a toroidal field around our body. And that toroidal field creates an electromagnetic field around our body. And so it goes. This is what the toroidal fields look like, or that are created by the sounds we make when we speak. And phenomenal research and work has been done to show us what the different toroidal shapes and fields look like of different letters and different sounds, especially vowels. And then as we speak, these toroidal fields that we manufacture and we create with our mouths, infinite forms, infinite shapes, infinite creativity that we manifest, actually become scalar waves and scalar technology that go into all of creation and permeate all of creation instantly. It doesn't take light years for the thoughts we have or the words we speak to permeate all of creation. It happens instantaneously because sound and resonance traverses all of creation instantly, not like light that takes time to travel through what we believe to be the cosmos. And here the toroidal shapes of color. Incredible work shows us that the different kind of structures and toroids that color actually creates and how it manifests in different and the various sacred geometrical patterns that we've become familiar with. And here's the brilliant work of Eric Rankin, and I really suggest you watch his Sonic Geometry documentary. It's fantastic. It's just watch it. It's a half an hour long on YouTube. Watch that. It'll give you a lot more information. But this is how basic shapes, triangles and shapes in nature, how they all have sound and resonance, the sound of nature around us. Everything is sound and magneticism, and this is really important. This is such an important little video that will change your perception of what our universe or what our reality around us is. Like how important a role magneticism plays in everything that surrounds us.
You might not think of water as being magnetic, but it is, and so are graphite, aluminum, and glass. This is a new and different category of magnetism called either para or diamagnetism, and it's different from the magnetism that you're used to. You're probably already familiar with ferromagnetism. Ferro means iron. An unmagnetized piece of iron, or nickel or cobalt, becomes a magnet in the presence of a magnetic field. The effect is strong and lasts even after the magnet is removed. Paramagnetism is a similar effect, except that it's much weaker and temporary. Aluminum is a good example of a paramagnet. And so is oxygen, which is attracted to magnets. Here, I have a few milliliters of liquid oxygen, which sticks to the magnet. I'll explain why later. Gadolinium oxide and cupric sulfate are good examples of paramagnetic substances. Cupric sulfate is a salt that can be picked up by a magnet. Diamagnetic materials are exactly the opposite of paramagnetic. They are always repulsed. They would rather die than be in a magnetic field. An important example of a diamagnetic material is graphite. This specially made pyrolytic graphite is repelled by a magnetic field. Don't be confused. This is not static electricity or eddy currents. Graphite is repelled by a magnet, always, both by the north and south end. Pyrolytic graphite is a grown crystal of flat carbon layers which maximizes the diamagnetic effect. Of course, the best diamagnets are superconductors, which at low temperatures provide exact opposite repulsion to whatever magnetic field is present when they're chilled. They are perfect diamagnets.
It gives you an idea how the nature of reality around us, this is very important information, people, and we just don't get taught this stuff, you know? We don't think about it in that sense. In our eyes we have rods and cones in our retina, right? What are the cones in our retina connected to? The optic nerve is connected to pineal gland. So somehow our pineal gland should be controlling our eyes and our optic nerve. And our pineal gland should be picking up all these other frequencies, the all-seeing eye of Horus, connecting us to everything, every frequency, and giving us ESP ability and much more. We are the most advanced technological tools walking around on this earth. But what this all leads up to is that we should be able to do anything. We should be able to think anything and manifest it instantly. We are co-creators of our own reality. It's just spectacular. So now you start to understand that every time you look at something that's carved out in a rock or a symbol or the caduceus, everything carries its frequency. And actually, when you're looking at it, you're picking up the image and the sound is entering your subconscious through the fact that you're observing it and looking at it. So it has an effect on you. So when people say, oh, it's just a stupid symbol. No. It has a severe effect on you and your subconscious, but you're just not aware that it's affecting you because you're picking up the sound frequencies of that image. So if somebody shows you a finger, you're picking up the sign of that finger and the frequency of that image. That's an assault on you. Keep in mind, not only your thoughts are powerful tools, but the images and the words you write are powerful tools. The words that we write. This is why the original letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the 22 letters, are very specific shapes and sizes and forms. Each letter is actually a two-dimensional representation of the three-dimensional sound of that letter. The tools that have been given to us of thought, of language, of vocabulary, of letters, of the alphabet are powerful tools. And this is why wizards and witches could cast spells with their spelling, right? Cast spells, and we do spelling at school. So we're actually learning to cast spells without realizing what we're doing. And this stuff is just so brilliant. When you start breaking this knowledge and this information down, you get into the deeper understanding of the power that we have, the incredible, powerful beings that we are, because we are one with God. We are one with the Creator. We come from the same creative source. And we are all imbued with all that knowledge and information runs in our DNA. Everything is connected through a fractal nature of resonance that creates magnetic fields and toroidal fractals throughout all of creation.